Furiosa is the new movie by George Miller. This is the long-awaited prequel to 2015's Mad Max Fury Road, a sort of soft reboot to the Mad Max trilogy. It's been years since I've watched those movies, but I remember it carrying on in the spirit of Beyond Thunderdome and Road Warrior. Now here we are with this prequel, which by virtue expands this universe far more. I kind of find Furiosa more of a spin-off than I do a prequel, an elevated spin-off. While no Mad Max shows up on this one, and the format is far different than any of the other movies, we gain a much larger scope of the wasteland. Right off the bat, this movie is split in a chapter system, the first chapter being so intense and gripping. It's basically the story of Furiosa and her mother. It is a action-packed and developing tragedy that drives as the main purpose of Furiosa for the rest of the story. It's safe to say that immediately I was gripped into this movie. It could have been even more immersive if this was released in 3D like Fury Road was, but alas, it is just 2D. People don't like 3D, so I can't get too upset. When the vehicular combat starts on this movie, we get that sudden rush that Fury Road gave us. Something so animated about it all, how people are climbing around the car from top to bottom. There's this great scene where Immortan Joe, the enemy from Fury Road, who is back on this movie, is speaking down to his population of people, and we just see this little meter next to him. And it has all these different outcomes on there, almost like something I would see on the Looney Tunes. The vehicle's designs are super distinct. It's almost like a mix between the game Jack 3 and Wacky Races. But to even compare it would be selling it short, because what we have here is just so high octane and original. Chris Hemsworth has like a horse carriage, but instead of horses, it's motorcycles, and he whips around the motorcycles like they're horses. This kind of visual wackiness, it's not so common in R-rated big budget action movies. The car chases here are all pretty excellent. Specifically, the one on chapter 3, it goes on for a long period of time, and it is so impressive. The action is frantic, but it's never incoherent. We see exactly what's happening as it's happening. In a lot of ways, I kept thinking of this movie as Fury Road 1.5, as the character of Furiosa is really just more fleshed out. She's on another quest for revenge on this movie. And if you've seen Fury Road a number of times, you can't help but to think back on the accomplishments that Furiosa makes on that movie when watching the struggles that she goes through on Furiosa. I also found this experience to be paced very well, very interesting. It's almost like a Furiosa miniseries, but condensed into 2.5 hours. Really, these chapters could play like 20-30 minute episodes, but the consistent stylized action and its editing, the scene transitions, everything here just feels more appropriate for the big screen. And there's quite a bit of dialogue in this movie. While the character of Furiosa is mostly silent, the supporting characters talk and talk a lot. Some of it comes off a little belligerent at times, and it's hard to catch. Other times it feels super lived in and specific to the wasteland and the grim outcomes of a lot of what happens on this movie. It all the more elevates the usual revenge movie. And Anya Taylor-Joy and Ayla Brown as Furiosa and young Furiosa respectfully, they kill it. This is a very demanding physical role. It is a sight to behold seeing both of these performers become who this character is that Charlize Theron absolutely knocked out of the park on Fury Road. And Chris Hemsworth shows up as the primary antagonist of this movie. His character is named like Dementius, which is a cool name, and it's interesting. His motives are unclear throughout the movie. He is just like 1 second away from killing anybody. He believes he's above everyone. And this performance and character, just like Furiosa, inhabits the wasteland. Hemsworth is good in the role. It's something different for him. He reminded me a lot of Charlotte Copley, but that's never really a bad thing. Yeah, overall, I'm very satisfied by Furiosa. I can happily say that I waited 9 years for this, and it paid off. It's full of style, and I think it performs at the same wavelength as 2015's Fury Road. While that was an instant classic and a little more digestible than this one. If you were looking forward to seeing this movie, I think there is a pretty low chance that you're going to walk away disappointed. I would give this movie an 8.3, released by Warner Brothers, and it is playing in theaters everywhere now. Thank you for watching.